We used to live here. I still take care of the pond. Love the neighbors. And love the pond almost as much as the neighbors. It's a great environment for the fish. In the summertime we have turtles, and we try to do it as naturally as possible to have the pond clean itself. What's wonderful about this pond, or one of the things that's wonderful about it, is that the fish are here all year round. The pond never freezes, and it may not look like it, but it's 8 feet deep. And I'm hoping someday actually to hook up the pond to one of the units for air conditioning purposes. You know, the pond would provide a great heat sink for that. So some people have talked about ideas regarding that, and maybe in a couple of years that will happen.
So the place keeps evolving and developing.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And what's the mission, the goal of as the residents here and the ownership? What's the goal as you're developing?
This has been the lead architect, Doug, and his partners, to make this as green a project as possible, so that air conditioning is not needed, or if it's used, needed only for a minimum amount of time during the summer. And there's some very smart people here, very much interested in the environment. And again, that's one reason why this pond would be a great heat sink for connected to an air conditioning system.
All right, that's good there. All right. So tell us a little bit about. Oh, he got you. I think he's pretty efficient with that, isn't he?
Yeah, I guess he wants you to put down.
Are you ready? So all right. So tell us a little bit about who this guy is.
This is Mo, and the best way to describe Mo is this is a person's cat or dog, just a pet that's treated just as well, lower maintenance. I just came back from taking the turtle for a walk because it's a bit overweight from being overfed, just like most cats and dogs that are spoiled are. She's about 14 years old, and for the first 9 years of her life she was mistreated, and now has a wonderful life after being rescued about 4 years ago. And
so tell us what beings like this, how are they affected when we don't treat our environment right, and then what's the consequence for us?
This is a yellow-bellied slider. It's native to the south, and it would never be let loose in the wild because the owner loves this turtle and it can live to about 40 years or so. But we have a similar problem here, is that in the pond we collect juvenile eastern painted turtles that have a very low life expectancy. They can't take care of themselves. They're prey to many animals. We put them in the pond, let them grow till they're large enough to be put back in the wild. And the problem that we have is that people who have gotten these pet store turtles, the red-eared sliders, they're better at competing in the environment with the eastern painted turtles. And it's a shame when you have turtles from one area of the country or one area of the world that are let loose and outcompete the native species. And that's happening everywhere. That's happening actually now in Massachusetts with the eastern painted turtles. It'll take a little time to realize. Good.
Just a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What a scene.
You can see them in the summertime and they're really hungry.
Oh, they kind of like fight a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, it's like the water's boiling.
It's cool. Let me just get an over-the-shoulder view. and then I'll just get some of them. Excellent. All right. Beautiful. This looks so good. It's nice.
Now we're very fortunate.
Oh yes. All right, cool. That's excellent. All right, so now if you just, I'm gonna keep it rolling.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So now, yeah, please tell us a little bit about Japanese koi fish.
All right. There's actually 5 types of fish in this pond. But there's about 70 koi, and there's also goldfish. There's golden orphies, which are shy, and they're in the back of the pond. They don't come to the front unless they're starving. We also have what are called algae-eating sharks. They're not true sharks, but they have a high dorsal fin, and they look like sharks, but they only eat algae that grows on the grating. And then the last fish, the 5th fish, which we almost never see, are these mosquito fish that eat mosquito larvae. They're about 2 inches long and silver, but they're below the grating. What I like about the koi is the varieties of koi as well as the color. There's 2 basic varieties of koi. One is the standard traditional Japanese koi, and there's a newer variety called the butterfly koi, which has flowing fins. And they come in the same types of colorations as the standard Japanese koi.
Okay. So what's the advantage of having this type of fish for this type of project?
So when this development was constructed, they wanted to make this development as green as possible, which included being able to go and flush toilets with green water. And that water would be coming out of, actually there's 2 15,000 cisterns on either side of the pond. But because we're in a city and there are health regulations, there was a concern, no matter how small it is, that someone might get sick. So we were not allowed to go and use the gray water from the cisterns to flush the toilets. This relates to the pond because when we started to put fish in here originally, we just put some feeder goldfish in here to eat mosquito larvae that were growing in the pond. And we wanted to switch over to tilapia, which would make a great food fish. The same health regulations that would not allow us to go and use the gray water that came off from storm water collected in the cisterns to flush the toilets would not allow us to go and use the collected storm water that might have a small amount of fecal material from birds or raccoons or whatever to infect the fish and possibly infect people. So since we couldn't have a food fish in here, we decided to go for decorative fish. And koi are pretty hardy fish, and they're beautiful to look at. They're very sociable. They get along with each other. They get along with the goldfish.
How long do they live?
So depending upon the type of koi, there's actually also American standard koi and there's Japanese koi. We have 2 Japanese koi that were imported directly from Japan, and they can live upwards, if all conditions are right, about 100 years. And the standard American koi and the butterfly koi, their life expectancy, if all things are good and they don't get any serious illness, they get diseases like humans do, but again, they can live for 40, 50 and longer. And they're going to keep growing. Basically, koi keep growing their entire life, so the size of the koi here, depending upon the variety of koi, can grow up to and exceeding 3 feet.
Cool. All right. And so one last question for you. For you know, hi, how's it going? For younger, for the kids, younger people, college students, they're the ones that we're going to look to actually make some changes, right? And so, what advice would you give them as far as paying attention to their environment and being involved as you are? So, if you just give them a message for that. Want to take a minute?
I love nature. Grew up in a place that had a lot of woods nearby that I used to love to explore. My wife and I moved to the city, and to have this opportunity to transform what originally was an eyesore for just collecting stormwater into something beautiful and educational. It's something that the pleasure I get from this pond is both the aesthetic pleasure and the pleasure of providing an entertainment, a beautiful experience for the hundreds of people that come to the pond each week. But it's also trying to create an environment in which not only do the fish get along with each other, but everything feeds into another. The green wool that we installed in the back uses the fertilizer that's in the water to fertilize the plants. We use the pond water to help fertilize the landscaping around here, and there's additional projects, including the air conditioning, that we'd like to do in the future.